Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can get caught up on some of the latest news involving our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes, to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. We are so close to 9,000. We've got to get there before we beat the Bengals on Sunday, please. And once we do, I will change the fit for just one show. We will give the orange quarter zip the day off for one show and change up the outfit. Also, thank you to everyone who has scanned the QR code and become members of the Browns' latest dog pound, and to everyone who gets their comments into the viewer comment section. Hope everybody had a great, nice, safe, long Labor Day weekend. The weather was perfect in Northeast Ohio, and hope you got out and did some things. But also the Buckeyes, there was so much great college football throughout the whole weekend. The horns down, the Buckeyes getting it done against Texas. I'll tell you what, that Buckeye defense looks legit. But not only that game, but I mean Clemson, LSU, every one of the big games in Miami and Notre Dame, like they were all just great. A lot of fun to watch, and it was a great long weekend of football. But now we must turn our sights to our Cleveland Browns because it's week 1 of the NFL season. And listen, there are 3 massive storylines to follow this week as the Browns prepare to take on the Bengals. So I don't care what anyone has to say about the Bengals and their high-powered offense. The Browns couldn't have asked for a better matchup for week 1 of the 2025 season. I also want to make sure that you guys get in on these Browns futures bets. These are bets you must make this week before the line moves. I want to make sure you get the best odds. And then down in the viewer comments, we have some players changing their numbers before the game against the Bengals. Did Shador get 2 back? We'll find out. And why I need to submit to a drug test. We'll find out what that's all about too. But first things first, we have to talk about the storylines heading into the game. Now, Coach Stefanski talked yesterday, and anybody who had any type of injury tied to them last week and maybe even missed some practice or whatever, they're fine. Everybody's back at practice. Cornelius Lucas, Blake Whiteheart, Myles Garrett, Ethan Pochik, all of those guys are all back. Garrett was just resting the other day anyway. But you didn't see Mohamed Diabate or Mike Hall Jr. And I would tell you the way, because Stefanski was asked about it after practice, and the way he sounded, I don't think we're going to see Mike Hall Jr. I'd be super surprised if Mike Hall Jr. played in this game against the Bengals. He did also talk about Isaiah Bond and said Isaiah Bond is caught up. He said he's been working hard both on and off the field. Now, remember, his play package is going to be a little smaller than some of the other players on the offense. And so, it's not like he has to learn the entire offense. I mean, he's got to learn the plays that he'll be in on. But Stefanski says he's all caught up. And then Stefanski also talked about going down to the shoe. They went down to go, because the big news. Everybody saw the picture. Jimmy Haslam was there. Andrew Berry was there. Kevin Stefanski's there. Baranski was there. Stefanski was there with his kids and this and watching the game. Yeah. Were they there to see Arch Manning? Well, sure, but so was everybody else. You got to remember, these are 2 of the top teams in college football. There's a ton of talent running around on that field. And so there are other things, the guys, they're looking at Caleb Downs from the Buckeyes, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. I mean, there's tons of guys, Texas also has a stud right tackle. They want to get a look at him because Jack Conklin is, he's up there. Browns need some linemen, so they're looking at line. They're looking at everything. But so there was a ton of talent out there. So the Browns went down there just everybody thinking, they want Arch Manning. The other thing is Haslam is tight with the Mannings, like from his Tennessee days. Like so they're super tight, and so he probably goes down there to see the Mannings too. Jerome Ford also talking says they're going to have a very aggressive running game this year, and that brings us to this. And this is one of the big storylines heading into the week. He says he's helping Dylan Sampson, get adjusted to the NFL and helping him with whatever he needs. But that's one of the big questions going into this. Like, what about the rookies and how will they perform? That's a big storyline going into this game. And so, not only Dylan Sampson, but linebacker Carson Schweschinger, defensive tackle Mason Graham, all of these guys are going to be counted on to play crucial roles. And this is their first NFL regular season game. And they're being counted on to contribute a lot. And then, some of the other guys will probably be involved, maybe even Larvidan, some of these other rookies that have looked so good throughout training camp. So that is the storyline heading into this game. Another one that to pay attention to is the Stefanski offense. Is it going to put up points this year? Because we showed you these graphics over the last 5 months, 6 months, but the Browns offense actually put up numbers. But they just couldn't score points. That was their problem. They couldn't get it in the end zone. But will Stefanski's offense get us over the hump and get us in the end zone? It's his offense, his play calls. And so that's the other thing we got to be paying attention to heading into this game. And how about this? The defense. Can it slow down the Bengals' high-powered offense? Because remember, they were the number one defense in 2023. Last year, they weren't good. They weren't good at all. But everybody is healthy now. You got a nice mix of all that depth along the defensive line now, So this revamped defense, how will it do against the Bengals offense? Here's what I'll tell you. They're going to do great. I don't think the Browns could ask for a better matchup for week 1 in 2025 than the Bengals because their defense is such a mess. I mean, really, the only way that this could have gotten better is if you had like maybe Tennessee with a rookie quarterback starting his first game, or the Saints because they're terrible and they got Spencer Rattler. But because yes, the Bengals have some things on offense, but their defense is brutal. Now take a look at this here. Cincinnati's defense. Now they got a couple of new faces, but they're pretty much running it back, folks. Their defense is essentially made up of the same players they had last year that gave up 116 yards rushing per game, 5.5 yards per carry. That was 30th out of 32 teams in the NFL. How about the passing game? Their 2024 defense ranked 24th in pressure rate, 25th in sacks. So there's that. They did get a new defensive coordinator. But I'll tell you this, his name is Al Golden, and he was a former linebackers coach for the Bengals, and who also has worked as a college assistant and head coach at Notre Dame, Miami, and Temple. Okay, I'll give you a minute. I want you to tell me which one of those defenses just strike fear into you. Yeah, exactly. None of them. So, they brought this guy in, but I don't see how much of a difference he's going to make. Remember that preseason game against the Eagles when the Eagles had their twos out there and Tanner McGee? The Bengals had their number one defense on the field, and they got torched. McGee shredded them for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in one half. This Cincinnati defense is brutal. Plus, Hendrickson, remember, he's been belly aching about his contract all summer. He's not even thinking about the team. So I think Denzel Ward is tough. Even Jamar Chase admits Denzel Ward is his toughest assignment every single time they play. Ward, and the numbers show it. I mean, Ward does a great job on Chase. So you take him out of it, and try and let T. Higgins beat you, but just run the ball, control the clock. Their defense is terrible. And think back to that first series that when Dylan Gabriel started that preseason game, when we ran like 10 or 11 plays, whatever it was, 8 up over half the first quarter, and then got it in the end zone. Remember Marshall scored on that running play. Those are the types of drives you want to have. And if the Browns can do that against Cincinnati, it's over. Keep them off the field. They're a high-powered offense. That's all you have to do. That's what I'm saying. You couldn't ask for a better matchup. A team that's going to, going back to its roots on offense, and you get a defense that's non-existent. Sign me up for that. Bengals, great matchup. Now, another thing I want to make sure that you're aware of are these bets to make. Now, I've already made all of these. Who are we kidding? But I want to make sure you get in on these because to me, these, I mean, they all look really good to me. And so we're going to start with, of course, I mean, I've been talking about this for months. I've already bet the Browns over 4.5 wins, over 5.5 wins, over 6.5 wins. I got them all. I'm in on all of them. But the other one, look at this, Jerry Jeudy. Over 900 receiving yards. I got it at plus 100 on DraftKings. Hopefully you can get that or better. Shop around for those odds. And don't just, unless you have a favorite place, just go to your favorite place. But hopefully you can get it at least at plus 100. But listen to this. So Jeudy now has Flacco. Think back to when Amari Cooper was with Flacco for those 5 games. I mean, he really helped him find his form in just 5 games. And then remember, Cooper was crying about a new contract because he played so well with Flacco. But Jeudy last year, 90 receptions, 1,229 yards. That was mostly with Winston. But Jeudy also plays. He doesn't get hurt. He's played 15 games 4 times so far in his career. At least 15 games. And he's put up 900 receiving yards in 2 of those years. But listen to this. The other 2, he just missed 900 yards. 856 and 758. And those, remember, were quarterbacks, the brutal Denver quarterbacks that they had. Wilson and those guys, they were brutal. So, Jerry Jeudy, over 900 receiving yards to me. I think that if he plays 15 games, that's a lock. Forget about it. And then Njoku over 4, it's at 4.5. I mean, they always throw the half in there because they don't want to push. But over 4.5 receiving touchdowns is another one that I think, especially with Flacco, looking for him in the red zone. As long as it's not like an easy one, because Njoku always drops those easy passes, he'll make at least 5 circus touchdown catches this year, but he's going to be very involved in the offense. I mean, both the tight ends will be Fannin too. He's another one. You might get a good number on Fannin, and who knows? You might even be able to get him at like 2 or 3 touchdowns. That to me is another lock, and so I would definitely bet on that. The other thing I'm betting on all the time are the viewer comments because that's a good bet. That's a safe bet. Because they're always good. And we'll start with the Browns NM. Now, I don't know what the NM stands for. Is it New Mexico? Is this a Browns fan in New Mexico watching the Browns' latest podcast with Grizzer? Maybe. Don't know. But here's what the Browns NM has to say. He says, the Browns will start the season 3-0. I like where you're going with this, Browns NM. Flacco leads. He has successful receivers, tight ends, running backs are a major surprise to many, but not to me, says Browns NM. He says the defense will be, as predicted, solid and devastating to opposing offenses. He's got the Steelers starting the season 1-2, and he's got the Ravens starting the season 0-3. The Browns are beating the Ravens, folks. Now, he did throw a smiley face in there on that, but he said, just remember, you heard it here first. Yes, we did, the Browns NM. You are on record. The Ravens will be 0-3. The Browns are beating them. The Browns will be 3-0. We gotcha. And the Steelers and the Bengals will be 1-2 after the first 3 games. I am picking up what you're putting down, Browns NM. All right, Roger Johnson, 8811. He says, speaking to me, you should get drug tested if you think Cleveland is going to win any of their first 4 games. Head coach fired. Roger Johnson. Listen, I'm in Believe land, and I believe, actually I more than believe, the Browns are beating the Bengals 56-2 on Sunday. I mean, we're going to see all 3 quarterbacks on Sunday. Shedeur will be in before the start of the 4th quarter. That's how bad it's going to be. We are going to be destroying the Bengals. I just don't see how you don't see that. And the Baltimore, just look, Roger Johnson, look at your survivor pools over the last few years. The first 4 games of the NFL season are the most unpredictable of all. You have no idea what's going to happen. That's why everybody's survivor pools are down the crapper after the 2nd week, and then you're starting a whole new survivor pool. So it is just too unpredictable. So you can't say that. The Browns are winning at least 2 of those games. Let's go. The Green Bay game gets a little dicey because, now with Micah Parsons, that defense is pretty good. So we could have a little trouble moving the ball, but we get him at home. All right, Charles Lovejoy, who says, see, he's picking up what I'm putting down. The incompetence seems to be gone this preseason. Looks like a capable football team, even the second string. I agree. I mean, look at the depth we now have on the offensive line, on the defensive line. That's where it all starts, in the trenches, right? We made some pickups like KZ in the secondary. Like we have got some. We talked about it. That nice mix of veterans and young talent coming together now, and it's all going to be on full display against the Bengals on Sunday. Now, I didn't pick just one comment because a lot of people were asking. When DeAndre Carter got cut, everybody was like, hey, Shedeur could get number 2 back, right? Remember, Carter was gone, then he was back. So Shedeur can't get number 2 back. Shedeur's got to stay with 12. But there are some Browns players who have changed their numbers heading into the game on Sunday. And I want to make sure you know about this so you know who you're looking at. Rayshawn Jenkins is taking 5. Dylan Gabriel, they swapped. Gabriel, not a Kenny Pickett, Viva Las Pickett, is off to Vegas, Sin City. Gabriel said, well, I want my old college number back then. So give me 8. But that's how it works, folks. The veterans get to pick the number first. The rookies just have to take whatever's left. The veterans have first choice. And so same thing with Pickett. Pickett had Gabriel's 8, just like Carter has Shedeur's 2. Unfortunately, Carter came back. Pickett's not coming back, so Gabriel said, give me 8. Isaiah Bond will wear 16. Holy Schmidt, he's changing to 25? Andre Schmidt is going to wear 25? That's crazy for a kicker. All right, let's go, Holy Schmidt. And then Aiden Huntington will wear 98. So there you go. Those are your number changes heading into week 1. We'll end on this. Sleeper 43. Why do some people call you Grizzer? Well, I don't know. It's just a variation of Grizzer, which is fine. There are lots of variations of Grizzer. But even Grizzer is a variation of something else. How it all started was back in the day playing basketball at Cleveland Central Catholic. A lot of the guys on the team couldn't pronounce our last name. And so at the time, the movie National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase, that movie was out starring the Griswolds. And so they started calling us the Griswolds. And then eventually it just kind of morphed into Grizzer. So there's lots of variations of Grizzer that you can use. You could use Grizzard. You could use Griswold. You could use whatever. I don't care. And like I told Sleeper, I said, call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for supper. So that's it. That's where it came from. The guys on the basketball team who couldn't pronounce our name. That's where it started, and then it just kind of took off from there. And everybody still calls us the Grizzers. So it's fine. I'm good with that. So, but there you go. That's it. So Grizzard's fine. Whatever. I like Grizzlies. There's all kinds of different variations in the comments, and I love them all. I'm just very grateful that you take some time to watch our little show each day. Okay. Remember what Coach Carosella said. It's game week, fellas. Vince Carosella, our defensive backs coach at Cleveland Central Catholic. Whenever it was game week, and then on Fridays or Saturday, it was game day. So it's game week. And we'll be following all the storylines throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, we'll have our bold predictions and what to watch for, all of it, as the week progresses. I'm excited. I think the Browns are really going to surprise a lot of people this season, and we are finally here. NFL Week 1. It's a good feeling. Get excited. Love it. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.